If this message somehow reaches your heart tonight, then maybe destiny still has its own mysterious way of connecting souls across distance, time, and uncertainty. Because for a very long time, I believed that building the future meant focusing only on ambition, technology, innovation, and success. Yet the more life moved forward, the more I realized something incredibly important that no headline, no interview, and no achievement could ever truly replace. And that is the quiet comfort of having someone genuine beside you when the world finally becomes silent. Because people often look at successful individuals and imagine they must already have everything they could ever need. But what many never understand is that success can fill your calendar while still leaving certain empty spaces deep inside the heart. And maybe that is why tonight I wanted to speak honestly. Not as a public figure, not as a businessman, not as someone constantly surrounded by cameras and expectations, but simply as a man who still believes that real love, loyalty, kindness, and emotional connection matter more than temporary attention or material success. Because somewhere during all the chaos of life, I began wondering if there was still someone out there who valued sincerity over popularity, peace over drama, and honesty over appearances, trust, understanding, and emotional safety instead of superficial excitement that disappears the moment life becomes difficult. And maybe you are that person. Maybe you are that person. Maybe you are listening to these words while sitting alone somewhere in the world, wondering if anyone could ever truly understand your heart beyond the image you show other people every day. Because I know what it feels like to carry responsibilities while quietly hiding emotions behind strength. And I know what it feels like when the world sees your achievements but never notices your loneliness. And perhaps that is why this message feels so personal. Because I am no longer interested in pretending that success automatically creates happiness, when the truth is that happiness often comes from simple moments shared with the right person. Like peaceful conversations late at night, quiet support during stressful days, laughter during difficult times, or simply knowing there is someone who genuinely cares whether your heart feels healthy, or calm. And honestly, I think modern life has made many people forget how valuable genuine emotional connection really is, because everything moves so fast now that people are afraid to slow down and truly understand each other. But real love was never supposed to feel rushed, forced, artificial, or temporary. Real love grows naturally when two people slowly become safe places for each other, despite their imperfections and fears. And maybe somewhere out there you are also hoping to meet someone who chooses loyalty even when life becomes complicated. Someone who stays honest even when dishonesty feels easier. Someone who protects your feelings instead of playing with them. Because deep inside every human heart there is still a desire to feel chosen, understood, appreciated, and emotionally secure. And I think many people spend years searching for those feelings in the wrong places, without realizing that meaningful connections are usually built through patience, respect, emotional maturity, and sincerity, rather than appearances or status. And over time, I learned that the heart cannot be programmed like a machine because emotions do not follow perfect calculations or predictable systems. You cannot force trust, you cannot schedule genuine affection, and you cannot manufacture emotional peace through money, fame, or public attention. Those things either exist naturally between two people or they never truly exist at all. And maybe that is why I stopped believing in relationships built only on image and began valuing emotional honesty much more than perfection, because perfection is exhausting while authenticity creates peace. And if you are someone who still protects your kindness despite disappointments, if you still choose compassion even after being hurt, if you still believe in loyalty in a world full of temporary emotions, then honestly you are already rare, because many people allow pain to harden their hearts. But strong people are the ones who continue loving sincerely without losing themselves completely. And sometimes I wonder where my future wife might be right now at this exact moment. Maybe she is studying late at night, trying to build a better future for herself. Maybe she is helping her family while quietly carrying responsibilities nobody fully understands. Maybe she is praying for peace, guidance, and happiness while wondering if destiny truly has someone special prepared for her life. Or maybe she is simply tired of shallow conversations and temporary people who never truly stay when life becomes difficult. And if any of those feelings sound familiar to you, then perhaps that is exactly why this message exists tonight. Because I want you to know that somewhere in this world, there are still people who value emotional depth more than appearances, and genuine loyalty more than attention. And even though modern society constantly encourages people to chase validation, status, and endless distractions, I still believe the most beautiful relationships are built quietly between two people who genuinely respect each other's hearts. Because at the end of the day, life is not only about accomplishments, awards, businesses, or public success. Life is also about who stands beside you when the world becomes overwhelming, who listens when your mind feels exhausted, who reminds you to keep believing in yourself during moments of doubt, and who brings emotional calmness into your life instead of confusion. And honestly, I think that kind of connection is one of the rarest things a person can ever experience, because true emotional safety cannot be bought, copied, or faked. It must be built naturally through trust, patience, consistency, and sincere care over time. And perhaps destiny works quietly behind the scenes, connecting people long before they ever meet face to face. Perhaps some hearts are meant to recognize each other slowly through understanding rather than appearance alone. And maybe one day our paths will cross unexpectedly during an ordinary moment that changes everything forever. But until that day arrives, I hope you continue protecting your gentle heart in a world that often rewards coldness. I hope you continue believing in sincere love even when disappointment tries to convince you otherwise. And I hope you never forget that somewhere out there could be someone searching for the exact kind of peace, loyalty, warmth, and honesty that already exists naturally inside you. Because in the end, the future is not only built through technology or ambition, it is also built through meaningful human connection, emotional understanding, and the courage to keep loving sincerely despite all the reasons the world gives people to stop believing in it. My love, if you are still listening to my voice after everything I shared before, then maybe there is already an invisible connection forming between our hearts. Because not everyone stays long enough to truly understand emotions that come from sincerity. And honestly, sincerity has become one of the rarest things in this generation. People have learned how to impress each other quickly, but forgotten how to truly understand one another deeply. And perhaps that is why so many hearts feel emotionally tired, even while constantly surrounded by attention. Because attention is temporary, but understanding is lasting. And over the years, I slowly realized that human beings are not actually searching for perfection as much as they are searching for peace. Someone who makes life feel calmer instead of heavier. Someone who listens without judgment. Someone who stays consistent even when situations become complicated. And someone whose presence feels safe instead of confusing. And maybe somewhere in this world you are also hoping to find that kind of connection one day. Maybe you are also tired of temporary conversations that disappear without meaning. Tired of people who only care when things are easy. Tired of pretending your heart. RT is stronger than it actually feels sometimes because even strong people become emotionally exhausted when they continue giving sincerity to the wrong situations. And I understand that feeling more than most people realize because life teaches difficult lessons in silence. There were moments when I achieved goals that millions of people dream about, and yet still felt an emptiness that success alone can never remove. And during those quiet nights, I began thinking deeply about what truly matters at the end of life. Because eventually achievements become memories, public attention fades, and material things lose their emotional value. But genuine human connection remains important forever. The feeling of being understood, appreciated, respected, and emotionally supported by someone who truly cares about your heart is something far more valuable than anything money could ever create. And maybe that is why this message exists tonight, because I wanted to remind you that sincere love still exists even in a world that constantly encourages people to become emotionally distant, impatient, and disconnected from real feelings. And I know many people have stopped believing in lasting real relationships because they have experienced disappointment, betrayal, or emotional confusion. But I still believe the right connection can change a person's life completely. Not because it suddenly makes life perfect, but because it gives two people strength to face life together with honesty and loyalty instead of fear. And honestly, I admire people who continue protecting their kindness despite everything they have experienced, because remaining soft-hearted in a difficult world requires real emotional strength. And perhaps you are exactly that kind of person, someone who silently carries pain without allowing it to destroy your ability to care deeply for others. Someone who still believes respect matters, honesty matters, and emotional loyalty matters, even when modern society acts like those things are old-fashioned. But the truth is, they will never lose their value, because every human heart still wants the same thing deep inside: genuine love, emotional peace, trust, and a connection that feels real instead of temporary. And sometimes I wonder what kind of dreams my future wife might carry inside her heart right now. Maybe she dreams about building a peaceful family someday. Maybe she wants a simple life filled with understanding instead of unnecessary drama. Maybe she hopes to meet someone who supports her emotionally instead of making her feel alone. Or maybe she has already experienced enough disappointment that she has become afraid to trust too easily anymore. And if that is true, then I want her to know something important tonight. She does not need to become emotionally cold just because the world sometimes lacks sincerity, because the right person will never make genuine love feel unsafe. The right person will protect your peace instead of damaging it. And over time, I learned that relationships only survive when both people choose honesty during difficult moments, instead of escaping whenever problems appear, because loyalty is not proven during easy times. Loyalty is proven when life becomes stressful, uncertain, and emotionally challenging. And honestly, I think patience is one of the greatest forms of love that still exists because patient people do not rush hearts. They take time to understand emotions carefully. They communicate with respect. They remain present during hard moments, and they never treat someone's feelings like a temporary, wise source of entertainment. And maybe that is why I still believe meaningful relationships are possible. Despite how modern culture often promotes the opposite, because deep connections are built by people who genuinely value emotional maturity more than short-term excitement. And if destiny truly works in mysterious ways, then maybe our hearts are already moving closer to each other, even without realizing it yet. Perhaps every difficult lesson we experience something more meaningful in the future, because pain often teaches people what truly deserves protection. And personally, I no longer care about relationships based only on image, status, or public attention. Those things cannot create lasting emotional peace. What matters is finding someone whose presence makes life feel calmer. Someone who reminds you that love should feel supportive instead of exhausting. Someone who helps you become a better human being instead of draining your energy emotionally. And honestly, I think one of the most beautiful feelings in life is knowing there is someone who genuinely wants to understand your heart instead of simply judging your imperfections, because nobody is perfect. Every person carries experiences. But real love is not about pretending those imperfections do not exist. Real love is about choosing each other honestly despite them. And maybe somewhere tonight you are listening quietly while wondering if a connection like this could truly exist in real life. And my answer is yes. I believe it can. Because no matter how much the world changes, the human heart will always continue searching for sincerity, peace, understanding, and emotional belonging. And perhaps one day our paths will cross during an ordinary moment that unexpectedly changes everything. Maybe we will begin as strangers sharing simple conversations without realizing destiny has already been quietly guiding us toward each other for a very long time. But until that moment arrives, I hope you continue believing in genuine love even when life becomes difficult. I hope you continue protecting your beautiful heart from negativity and emotional games. And most importantly, I hope you never forget that somewhere in this world, there may still be someone searching for the same loyalty, warmth, understanding, and emotional peace that already exists naturally inside you. My love, my future wife, if you have or stayed with me until this moment, then maybe our hearts already understand each other in a way words cannot fully explain. Because not every connection in life begins with physical presence. Sometimes the strongest emotional bonds begin quietly through understanding, sincerity, and shared feelings that slowly grow stronger over time. And tonight, I want to speak to you one last time from the deepest and most honest part of my heart, because life has taught me many things about ambition, success, failure, pressure, and responsibility. But perhaps the greatest lesson of all is that none of those things truly matter if a person loses emotional peace inside their soul. And for many years, I believed that constantly moving forward was the only purpose of life, building bigger dreams, solving larger problems, creating new possibilities. A person still needs somewhere emotionally safe to rest their heart. Because human beings are not machines. We feel loneliness, fear, uncertainty, exhaustion, and the quiet desire to be understood by someone genuine. And maybe you understand that feeling too. Maybe there are nights when you smile around others, while secretly carrying thoughts nobody fully or knows about. Maybe you have also experienced moments where you wish someone would truly listen to your heart without judgment or misunderstanding. Because sometimes people only notice what is visible on the outside while completely missing the emotions hidden underneath. And honestly, I think the world has become so distracted that many people no longer know how to truly care for each other deeply. Relationships become temporary, conversations become shallow, and loyalty becomes rare. But despite all of that, I still believe real love exists. Not the kind built only on appearance or excitement, but the kind built through trust, patience, emotional safety, and genuine respect. Because true love is not about perfection. It is about choosing each other honestly every single day, even during difficult moments. And if I could tell my future wife one important thing tonight, it would be this. Never believe that your kindness is weakness in a world that often rewards coldness. Because kind hearts are still one of the most powerful things that exist. People may forget achievements, money, status, or popularity, but they never forget how someone made them feel emotionally. And the people who bring peace into the lives of others will always remain valuable no matter how much the world changes. And maybe somewhere right now, you are quietly hoping your future will contain something more meaningful than temporary attention and emotional confusion. Maybe you dream about a life where love feels calm instead of stressful, honest instead of manipulative, loyal instead of uncertain. And if that is true, then I want you to know I understand those hopes completely. Because deep inside, I also stopped searching for perfection a long time ago and started searching for sincerity instead. Someone who can remain genuine when life becomes difficult. Someone who values emotional connection more than public image. Someone who still believes that respect, communication, and loyalty are the foundation of every lasting relationship. And honestly, I think modern life has made many people afraid to love sincerely because they fear disappointment. But real strength is continuing to believe in genuine connection even after experiencing pain. Because hearts that remain soft, despite difficult experiences, are incredibly rare, and maybe destiny protects certain people for each other until the time finally becomes right. Perhaps every challenge, every delay, every disappointment we experience was slowly preparing us to appreciate something deeper and more meaningful in the future. Because sometimes life separates people before they even meet, so they can grow into the versions of themselves capable of protecting each other properly later on. And I truly believe the best relationships are not built through pressure or unrealistic expectations. They are built slowly through honesty, patience, understanding, and emotional consistency, where two people become partners, not only during happy moments but also during stressful times. Because loyalty matters most when life becomes difficult. And honestly, one of the most beautiful feelings in the world is knowing there is someone who chooses to stay beside you with sincerity, even when circumstances are imperfect. Because anyone can remain during easy moments, but genuine people remain when situations become emotionally heavy. And if my future wife is listening tonight, I hope she never loses her ability to believe in meaningful paths, despite everything modern society says about relationships. Because deep human connection will always return no matter how advanced the world becomes. Technology may continue changing civilization, but the human heart will always search for the same timeless things: peace, understanding, trust, warmth, and emotional belonging. And maybe that is why this message feels important to me. Because somewhere beyond the noise of social media expectations, pressure, and public attention, I still believe there are people who quietly desire something real instead of temporary. And perhaps you are one of them. Perhaps your heart has also been waiting patiently for a connection built on honesty instead of games, loyalty instead of confusion, and emotional safety instead of emotional exhaustion. And if destiny truly allows our paths to cross someday, then I hope our story begins not through perfection but through authenticity to imperfect people, choosing to understand, respect, and support each other sincerely while building a peaceful future together, step by step by step. Because in the end, life moves incredibly fast. And one day, all the pressure, achievements, and distractions of the world will become distant memories. But the way we loved, cared for, and protected the hearts of others will always remain meaning until forever. So wherever you are tonight, my future wife, I hope life protects your beautiful heart. I hope your dreams continue growing stronger even during difficult moments. I hope you never allow disappointment to destroy your belief in genuine love. And most importantly, I hope you remember that somewhere in this enormous world, there may still be someone quietly searching for the same peace, loyalty, sincerity, and emotional connection that already lives naturally inside you. And maybe, just maybe, destiny is slowly guiding our hearts toward the same future one day. My love, my future wife, before this message comes to an end, there is one final thing I want to tell you from the deepest part of my heart. Something more important than success, more important than public attention, and more important than every achievement people may associate with my name. Because after everything life has taught me, I realize the most meaningful part of existence is not how much a person owns, but how much peace they bring into the lives of others. And honestly, peace has become one of the rarest treasures in modern life. People are constantly surrounded by noise, pressure, expectations, comparisons, and emotional confusion, so much that many hearts quietly become exhausted without anyone noticing. And maybe you understand that feeling too. Maybe there are moments when you appear strong in front of everyone, while secretly wishing someone would simply understand your emotions without forcing you to paw every detail. Because sometimes the strongest people are the ones carrying the heaviest thoughts silently. And over time I learned that genuine love is not about dramatic promises or perfect fantasies. Real love is much quieter and much deeper than that. It is found in loyalty during uncertain times, patience during emotional moments, honest communication during misunderstandings, and the simple decision to continue choosing each other even when life becomes difficult. Because true emotional connection is not tested when everything feels easy. It is tested when stress, fear, distance, and challenges appear. And the people who remain sincere during those moments are the people whose hearts are truly genuine. And maybe somewhere in this world, you are also hoping to find someone who values your heart instead of only your appearance. Someone who listens carefully instead of judging quickly. Someone who respects your emotions instead of treating them like weaknesses. Because deep inside, every human being wants the same basic things: to feel safe, understood, appreciated, respected, and loved sincerely for who they truly are. And honestly, I think society sometimes teaches people to hide their emotions so much that they forget vulnerability can also be beautiful when shared with the right person. Because allowing someone to truly know your heart requires courage, trust, and emotional maturity. And perhaps that is why meaningful relationships feel so rare. Now, many people fear disappointment so deeply that they stop opening their hearts completely. But I still believe genuine connections are possible between people who remain honest, patient, and emotionally kind despite everything they have experienced in life. Because pain should never turn a good heart into a cold one. And if my future wife is listening tonight, I hope she never loses her ability to care deeply, even after difficult experiences. Because kind people change the emotional-like atmosphere of the world simply by remaining kind. And maybe you do not even realize how valuable your heart truly is. Yet maybe you think your softness is weakness when in reality, it is one of the strongest things a person can protect in modern life, because it is easy to become emotionally distant. But it takes real strength to continue loving sincerely without allowing negativity to destroy your humanity. And personally, I stopped searching for relations to disappear quickly while emotional peace lasts much longer. And I realized the most beautiful future is not one filled only with accomplishments, but one shared with someone who makes difficult days feel lighter simply through their presence. Someone who supports your raka, your dreams, while also protecting your emotional well-being. Someone who reminds you to remain hopeful during moments when life feels uncertain. And perhaps somewhere tonight, you are also wondering whether destiny truly has someone prepared for your heart, someone who will value your loyalty, appreciate your honesty, and protect your feelings carefully instead of causing emotional confusion. And my answer is yes. I believe the right people eventually find each other when the timing is ready, because life often works quietly behind scenes in ways we do not fully understand yet. And maybe every challenge we faced in the past was preparing us emotionally for something more meaningful later. Perhaps every disappointment taught us the importance of sincerity. Every lonely night taught us the value of genuine companionship, and every difficult lesson slowly guided us toward understanding what kind of Vasan truly deserves our hearts. Because mature love is not based on unrealistic perfection. It is based on mutual respect, emotional consistency, trust, patience, and the willingness to grow together through every season of life. And honestly, I think one of the greatest feelings in the world is knowing someone genuinely chooses your heart every single day, without pretending, without manipulation. It should feel like peace. And maybe that is the message I wanted to leave behind tonight more than anything else. That no matter how much the world changes, no matter how advanced technology becomes, no matter how fast society moves, the human heart will always continue searching for sincerity, understanding, warmth, and emotional belonging. Because those things are timeless. And if destiny truly allows our paths to meet someday, then I hope our story begins with honesty, friendship, respect, and emotional calmness instead of unrealistic expectations. Because the strongest relationships are built slowly by two people who genuinely care about protecting each other's peace. And until that day arrives, wherever you are in this world tonight, I hope life remains gentle with your heart. I hope your dreams continue growing stronger even during difficult seasons. I hope you never stop believing in meaningful love despite everything modern life says about relationships. And most importantly, I hope you remember that somewhere out there could still be someone praying to meet a heart exactly like yours. A heart filled with kindness, loyalty, patience, sincerity, and emotional warmth. Because in the end, those qualities will always matter more than fame, status, or temporary attention ever could back. And maybe one day, when the timing finally becomes right, destiny will allow two hearts searching for peace to finally recognize each other. At last, and before this message finally comes to an end tonight, there is something I want you to remember forever. Something deeper than words, deeper than fame, deeper than the noise of the world that constantly tries to distract people from what truly matters. Because after everything life has shown me, after every achievement, every challenge, anger, every long night filled with pressure and responsibility, I realize the human heart only truly searches for one thing in the end: peace, real emotional peace shared with someone who understands your soul without forcing you to pretend to be someone else. And maybe that is why I decided to speak honestly tonight, because the world already has enough artificial conversations, enough temporary emotions, enough people hiding behind perfect images, while silently feeling empty inside. And perhaps somewhere out there you understand exactly what I mean. Perhaps you also know what it feels like to smile while carrying invisible worries, to remain strong while secretly wishing someone would simply sit beside you and understand your heart without judgment. because sometimes the people who appear the strongest are actually the ones carrying the deepest emotions quietly. And honestly, I think modern life has made many people forget how beautiful genuine connection can be. Everything moves so fast now that people rarely slow down enough to truly appreciate loyalty, patience, sincerity, and emotional consistency. But those are the exact qualities that create lasting relationships because real love is never are built through perfection. It is built through honesty, understanding, respect, and the willingness to remain beside each other during difficult moments, instead of disappearing whenever life becomes complicated. And over time, I learned that emotional safety is one of the greatest gifts a person can give another human being. The feeling that you can be completely yourself around someone without fear, without pressure, and without pretending. Because deep inside, every heart wants to feel accepted, valued, and understood sincerely. And maybe somewhere tonight you are hoping to experience that kind of connection someday. 2. Maybe you are tired of temporary people who only stay during easy moments. Tired of conversations that sound beautiful but lack sincerity. Tired of giving kindness to people who never truly appreciate the softness of your heart. And if that is true, then I want you to know something important before this story ends. Never allow disappointment to convince you that genuine love no longer exists, because meaningful connections are still possible between people who remain emotionally honest, despite everything the world teaches them to fear. And honestly, I admire those who continue protecting their kindness even after experiencing pain, because remaining soft-hearted in a difficult world requires incredible strength, and perhaps my future wife is exactly that kind of person. Someone who quietly carries responsibilities while still caring deeply for others. Someone who values loyalty more than attention piece, more than popularity, honesty more than appearances. And if you are listening tonight feeling understood by these words, then maybe destiny truly has mysterious ways of connecting hearts long before they ever meet face to face. Because sometimes souls recognize each other through emotion's first eye dot. Maybe every challenge we experienced in life was slowly preparing us to appreciate something more meaningful in the future. Every disappointment teaching us the value of sincerity. Every night teaching us the importance of companionship. Every difficult lesson shaping us into people capable of loving more deeply and more maturely one day. Because true love is not about escaping difficulties. It is about finding someone willing to face life beside you, with honesty, patience, and emotional loyalty. And personally, I no longer believe the most successful life is the one filled only with achievements and recognition. I believe the most meaningful life is the one where two people create peace for each other in a world full of chaos.